evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Reveal Report. I'm your host, George Iceman, and what a show we have for you today on this Monday. We're back, and we're talking about Vatican secrets. It's going to be great. Jess is going to be joining us, and we're going to maybe talk about some of these things and maybe decode a few things and share a few things with you that you might not be aware of. It's going to be an interesting show. Fasten your seatbelts. Get your popcorn, get your favorite drink, water, tea, sparkling water, whatever you like, and sit back. It's going to be a great show. Guys, one person this week, one single person came through to help support this show, to keep it on Monday, to keep it on YouTube, and not go to Patreon. And that person's name is Miss Lisa M. God bless her, the wonderful Miss Lisa M. Guys, please show your love and support in the comments below and say thank you, Lisa M. She definitely came through. And guys, if there's anything you can do, please send something our way on PayPal. It goes such a long way to help produce and cut and paste and get this footage and spend the hours that we take to put this thing together every single Monday. It is a lot of work, guys, and we appreciate the love and support that you're watching. But guys, help out if you can on PayPal, a little something. It goes a long way. And once again, do a big shout out to the one and only Miss Lisa M. She came through big, so big shouts out to her. Guys, before we even get into the show, we got a big month. And I want to talk about this big month because there's a lot going on. Let me just bring up the schedule. There we go. All right, April schedule today, April 7th, we talk about Vatican secrets with Miss Jessie Czebotar. Next week, Monday, April 14th, spiritual warfare with Pastor Dave Bryan. Pastor Dave is back. He will be here. We're going to be going into spiritual warfare, the type of things that he had to endure and go through, and what he still goes through today, and what he helps with a lot of people in his church, and maybe give you some advice on what you could do. On April 27th, he's back. Nathaniel Gillis, alien contact. What? When you hear what he has to say, and how we could possibly contact aliens without even knowing in an innocent fashion, man, he's going to really blow the lid off this. So again, alien contact, April 21st, it's going to be huge. And on Monday, April 28th, a huge show for the first time ever here at the Reveal Report, guys. Former Luciferian Ira Wolfson. Ira is incredible, and she was in the occult at a very young age. She was into different types of magic. She'll talk about her rituals and what she went through and how she came to our Lord and Savior and was saved. It's going to be an amazing month. Fasten your seatbelt, guys. It's going to be incredible. And once again, big shouts out going out to Miss Lisa M for supporting on Patreon for tonight's show. All right, guys, without further ado, let us please bring out my co-host and author. Welcome, Miss Jessie Czebotar. Hey, Jess, how are you there?
Hey. Thankful for Lisa M. And come on, guys. Let's show the ladies you can help too.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, guys, I'm ready. I'm pumped. It's going to be a big show. Vatican secrets, Jesse. All right. What I'm going to do is I have a lot of stuff to share with you. So I'm going to play a clip to start. And then we're going to get into it. I want to get your comments and your feedback and get your opinion. So let's begin. The Vatican has an apparent archive of books, documents, scrolls, things that are not shared with public. Only a select few are allowed to see these things. It's a secret library underground. Let's take a look at this video to give you a little bit more context. Take a look, turn up your volume. Here it is.
Vatican City is the smallest country on Earth. It covers less area than New York Central Park. If you were to walk from one side to the other, barely half a mile, you might stroll beneath the mighty columns of the iconic St. Peter's Square, gaze upon the Sistine Chapel, St. Peter's Basilica, or the Apostolic Palace, the architectural majesty of one of humanity's most historically significant cities. And yet, what is most significant historically is perhaps not what stands on top of the earth, but what lies beneath it. There, in a fortress-like bunker, closed to the public and protected by armed guards, lies an incredible 53 miles of shelving, more than 100 times the distance from one side of Vatican City to the other, dug deep into the earth. On these shelves sit 12 centuries worth of documents, an unmatched history not just of the Catholic Church, but of the world as we know it. This is the Vatican Secret Archive, and hidden within it are the original recordings of some of history's most important and well-known events. There are some, however, who say that this is not all that is hidden there. Some believe that deep beneath the Vatican is a different kind of history, one of secret powers, apocalyptic prophecies, and perhaps even extraterrestrials.
Secret powers, apocalyptic discussions and predictions, possible extraterrestrial encounters. This is on the conversation. You know, the government's investing in Space Force. Other former presidents have talked about this. It's all the talk. We need to watch out what's going on. Keep our eyes open. Jessie, what are your thoughts about this massive underground library of information and knowledge? Talk to us. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's interesting because we certainly know, that the church has been collecting things throughout the centuries, and, books are one of those relics that they like to keep. But then you wonder, what are the secrets within there? I'm sure it goes far beyond aliens and history. It was intriguing to hear the word, secret powers. What are the secret powers? Does that connect to maybe, spiritual entities? Does it connect to information about, certain magical powers or abilities? What kind of information do they have there? And I'd be curious because, you get the Book of Enoch is one that talks about special alliances with entities, former angelic beings, or we'd even call demonic beings, angels that came down with information. I don't know, George, what do you think? Is it possible that maybe even they have books written by angels?
All I can tell you is that all these books that are there obviously have a certain amount of information that they do not want to share with the public. It's a select few that can understand or read these things. And that, to me, says that they have some type of control and power over the masses. In some way, shape, or form, religion serves as that, no matter how you look at it. Organized religion is a form of control and power over the citizens, over the people. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that.
You don't need Christ or your Lord and Savior in a building of brick and mortar to go and worship. He is everywhere. It's said. And, if you're going to share this information with everybody, it's great. I've talked about it. I don't want to pick on, certain churches or the Vatican, but it's interesting how anyone could go to church. That's, let's say organized by the Catholic Church. And it's the same exact formula that they do every single Sunday. They have rituals. These are rituals. Make no mistake, it is a form of ritual that they do in the beginning. They read a page, a text. They try to give their interpretation of what the text is. More rituals, give us your money, and you're off. Have you ever, and I'm, again, not picking on them, heard a priest or somebody in the Catholic Church discuss demonology, alien beings, the Book of Enoch? Has any of this stuff ever came to fruition?
I think it's pretty liturgical. They have the standard liturgy that they're going to do each Mass, depending on what their Mass cycle is. So,
Jessie, why are they not sharing this information, this knowledge with us? Again, I believe it's not that we can't handle it. I mean, it is.
I think
what
it's because
it is.
It's dangerous. I think it's dangerous, and the danger is that they would lose control if the masses understood what they had.
I agree with you. I truly believe anyone who tries to hide this type of information, and anyone logical will say that. I mean, there's scholars and teachers and super intelligent people in universities, professors would love to read this stuff. They want to know, and we should share this because that's important. But they don't. So what is going on with the Vatican? Of course, there's so much to it. And you know, what kind of details are in there. I found another, and again, some of these videos I'm going to share are just people that are so enthralled with understanding and they want to know more. There's TikTok videos, Instagram videos, so many different videos. Here's a quick video I pulled, and I thought, look, see, everyone wants to know what's in there. Take a good look at this and tell me your thoughts.
Did you know that beneath the Vatican are miles of secret archives, crypts, and catacombs? One such room is the Archivio Segreto Vaticano, containing over 53 miles of shelving filled with papal accounts and documents dating back 1,200 years. Priceless scrolls and records lay hidden away, only accessible to a select few Vatican scholars.
That's all we know. We don't know the exact books and so forth. I know that there's... Right. They have scrolls there and things. And again, we're outside. We don't know what's happening. The Vatican has so much power, so much control. And here's something interesting, again, to share with other people who possibly may not know this. But the Vatican itself, ladies and gentlemen, the Vatican is a country within a country. It's got its own policing and rules and laws. If you did not know, the Vatican has its own government, is a country within a country. And Jesse, you know, I'm just spitballing here, but do you know what they control the majority of around the world? What they influence? Religion.
I think it's more than that, but that's the big one.
That's the big one.
They're sovereign. They're a sovereign nation, and you know, they control a lot of sovereign territories, we'll say.
What other country is within a country? Let me tell you. London. The city of London is a country within a country with its own rules that they abide by and go through. Did you know that? For those that are watching, do some research on it. And you know, they're really powerful at money, finance, stock, gold.
That's huge.
That seems to be the big thing in London. And there's a third one, a trifecta, Jesse. Another country within a country. Folks, that is called the District of Columbia in Washington, D.C. They got their own rules. They don't abide by the same that everybody else does. It's special. The District of Columbia, they say it's a country within a country. They got its own rules. They control, let me see, politics, the military. So let me get this straight. The Vatican controls majority of the religion. London controls the money. Washington controls the military. I'd say whoever controls them controls the world.
Right? I mean, do you think that's who do you think controls all of them, George?
I mean, I don't know who controls all of them, Jesse. I've discussed certain groups that I believe have influence, and it's very interesting about that. But there's something for people to ponder, that there's more to it than what it seems. Yeah. On that note, Jess, you know, again, lots of videos. Let's dig deep. What else did we discover about the Vatican? Well, there was a story, a classic story, about 3 Portuguese children who saw Fatima, and certain secrets were shared with them. In fact, Jess, did you know over 70,000 people on a particular day congregated on a hilltop and saw some type of miracle, something in the sky? What was it? I got a clip. Let me play it, get your feedback. Take a look at this.
The Vatican. Vatican City, Italy. In the 17th century, Pope Paul V ordered select documents of the Catholic Church moved from the Vatican Library and closed to outsiders until 1881. Today, the Vatican's secret archives are closely guarded, and some researchers believe they contain revelations so explosive that they threaten the doctrine of the Catholic Church.
You have to wonder if the secret library at the Vatican, which they acknowledge exists, doesn't have records or chronicles about extraterrestrial contacts that the Catholic Church has recorded and knows happened, but is keeping a secret.
Might the Vatican's secret archives contain the details of messages Giordano Bruno may have received from extraterrestrials? Information that supports his pronouncements about the universe.
When we look at certain specific examples, like Giordano Bruno, we know that there was so more to it than this. The Vatican archives, whenever they're going to be opened, are going to reveal extraordinary levels of details.
According to researchers, the Vatican's secret archives holds hidden evidence connected to the miracle of Fatima. It was here in 1917 that 3 children claimed to have received messages from what some Catholic theologians believe was the Virgin Mary.
In Fatima, children saw an apparition they said was the Virgin Mary. And 70,000 people came to this same sheep pasture. And people said that they saw a spinning silver disc. The Catholic Church, for a very long time, would not acknowledge what was happening with the children or Fatima.
The extraterrestrials give to the children a telepathic message saying you are not alone on this planet. We are here. We have been here some thousands of years ago. We observe you. Please prepare mankind that we will return again. All this story of Fatima went to the Vatican.
But is it possible, as ancient astronaut theorists contend, that the Catholic Church censored the messages that were received in Fatima?
The kids were given 3 messages, and the Pope refused to release the 3rd message. The 3rd message apparently talks about extraterrestrial life. Now that is sensational, because to me, to deny the revelation of that particular message, and that is exactly what the Pope did.
Jessie,
Interesting.
thoughts? What do you have to think about Fatima? Is it possible extraterrestrial? Did they see some type of? I mean, this goes back even to the Book of Enoch. Certain things make you go, how did he leave? I mean, we got to connect the dots here, guys. You don't want to think about it. We have to connect the dots. So, Jessie, lay it down here. What are your thoughts on what you saw there?
I think you have different elements in the story. You know, not only the possibility of the extraterrestrials, but it brings in elements that are in the Book of Enoch, like the machines with the whirling rings and the whirling whirls, which are, described in the Book of Ezekiel as, vehicles that angels would use. So was it angels, demons they were interacting with? But then you have to ask, why is Mother Mary supposedly, or Fatima, why is she the one chosen to bring the message to them? I guess that's the question. But we certainly know that we see in Scripture, we know prophecy is real. We know that the Lord can use individuals to bring messages. Usually we see angelic beings, like in the book of Daniel, you see, interaction with an angel that comes and gives Daniel a special message, the Archangel Michael. So we know that God does use that as a form of communication. Yet there's a lot of questions as to the validity. We know that in Scripture it says he's not the God of the dead, but of the living. Yet we know Scripture says it's appointed unto man once to die and then the afterlife. Does the Lord allow these apparitions? Are they from him? Are they messages from him? Could they be, could there be something more, as in, a demonic being that is giving messages? Could there be a deceptive or a lying spirit in that? And can you have mass visions, or, mass people seeing apparitions? I guess those are some of the questions that events like that pose.
I got to tell you, Jesse, again, we know that biblically it states that the Lord can send angels as men to give messages and so forth. I mean, there's so many stories. They went to go see Mary. They went to go see. Oh, now it's slipping my tongue. Where they destroyed the land. What is the name of that place? Sodom and Gomorrah. Thank you.
Oh, Sodom and Gomorrah. Yes,
Yes,
the angels were sent in to pull Lot and his family out.
Correct. So there's different stories, and again, like you said, he allows them to go. Some people say, the wrestling of an angel before he saw an angel come down out of the sky on a ladder. That's
Jacob and his
Yes.
vision of the
Jacob.
ascending and descending angels. Yep.
Yeah, or he was hurt. He was actually hurt when he wrestled with this angel. So there's many documented situations with this. The question is, does the Vatican have concrete proof of some type of alien contact that they wish not to share with us? Is there information that is shocking to us that we're going to start questioning everything around us? What do they know?
Right.
And, I'm not going to say that they know things, but I know they know things. I'm just going to say it.
Or what did they know that would
things.
bring down their whole Catholic Church? I mean, that's pretty curious.
I know they know things. Come on, guys. I'll tell you what. If you want to refute what I'm saying, listen. I will accept anyone from the Vatican that is willing to have a conversation on this show on a Monday. Send us someone from the observatory. Send us one of the priests that is knowledgeable in some of these books. Let's discuss some of these things. You're more than welcome. The invite is there. Please come on the show. We'd love to hear from you. We want to hear from our parties, don't we, Jesse?
We do. They have an open invitation.
Okay, so we've put that out there. It's important that we understand these things. And, you'd think that the Vatican is so perfect, polished, but we know there's been tons of scandals here, Jesse. Tons of scandals with the Vatican. I mean, I'm not making stuff up. Don't be mad at me if you follow. I'm just repeating what's been in public news forums, what the media has covered, what's been in court, what's been printed, what's been documented, what's been talked about. A lot of things have come up about the Vatican. They got a really negative past here, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
And if we keep going with our stories and share more things about the Vatican, here's another one. A relic. Do you believe in relics? Are relics real? Do they have a type of power? Is the church using relics as a way to inspire others to come and visit the Vatican, maybe make donations? I don't know that to be certain. I'm posing the question. So take a look at this video. Tell me what you think. Here is the true cross at the Vatican. Here it is.
The true cross. Although there are enough fragments of what's known as the true cross scattered across the world to build an ark, the one at the Vatican is special. It was gifted to the people of Rome by Emperor Justin II in the late 6th century. But where did Justin get it? Justin ruled the Eastern Roman Empire from 565 to 578 AD. He ruled alongside his wife, Empress Sophia. The cross he gifted the people of Rome is known as a crux gemata, or jeweled cross. It's adorned with beautiful gems covered in gold and gilt in silver. On the cross is a Latin inscription that reads, "For the wood with which human Christ was overcome by the enemy, Justin and his consort give Rome this wealth and decoration." I will admit, Justin's cross is impressive, but is it legit? Or is this another one of those artifacts that the Vatican puts on full display without any kind of scientific confirmation? Did you know that according to church tradition, the true cross was made from 3 different types of wood: cedar, pine, and cypress? Tradition also holds that each tree that was used to build the true cross grew together in a single spot. The same trees were used to construct the temple in Jerusalem. And centuries later, the second temple in Jerusalem. The last thing the trees were used for was to build Christ's cross.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Did you know about the 3 trees that grew together that was used for the temple and lastly used for the cross?
I didn't know that. And I was kind of curious, were they saying that they actually just grew like within the same area, or that was there a tree that had grafted different types of wood that they were, where it literally all came from the same tree?
I mean, here's the question. How did 3 different types of trees grow in the same area? I find that interesting. Possible, of course. But was that by design? Is it a Trinity thing? Marissa says, interesting enough. But we're going to get into numbers because, religion specifically loves their numbers. And boy, the last story is going to leave people with their mouth open. So we got to cover it. So again, do you think maybe this cross had wood attached to it that belonged to the cross that Jesus was crucified on?
It's hard to imagine that, that central area is that little part of that cross. And it's hard to imagine that somebody could keep a sliver of wood from that long, or, like you think, well, how would they preserve that or keep that for that long? You have preservation issues too with that, as you begin to look into or think about things like that. It would be curious if they would submit it for scientific exploration, where at least maybe the wood could be dated, or they could say it's plausible, maybe it's almost over 2,000 years old, maybe it was from those days. But it would be, it's interesting. And one of the other things I'm curious about is that, with crucifixion, just in general, the crosses, were they reused? Or would they have just thrown and destroyed after somebody, after a round of people were all crucified together? I think that they were beams that were reused throughout centuries. So that for me makes it hard to believe that they could have preserved something that belonged just to him. Like, why would they choose just his to preserve,
It's a great question. But would there be certain people, certain apostles, certain individuals that would have seen his blood on the cross, that would cut the wood and say, oh my goodness, we can't believe what's going on? I mean, I don't know how it was back then. I don't know what they would have done. We're not there. We ask all these questions.
Or maybe they took it, it's possible that the same one who offered the tomb also, also preserved and said, no, we want this for a headstone or something like that, I mean, it's plausible.
It's also possible that someone of that nature would say, listen, to us that he was our king. You cannot crucify anyone else on this cross. It's unheard of. There's no one else could touch this cross. It's done. And I could see them saying, okay, not to argue with anyone else because it was such a traumatic time during this with Jesus, that they probably would have said, yeah, let's just.
And maybe the Sanhedrin themselves kept it. Maybe they wanted it as a trophy to say, hey, we took out that guy who was harassing us and being a rebel rouser, the one who claims to be our Messiah, who, they did not receive him as that. So maybe they did keep it as a type of trophy or something,
Yeah. Again, we don't know, but we have to pose that question. How or what would have happened to the actual cross? So interesting on that. What else do they got in this Vatican? What other secrets, Jessie, do they withhold from us? Well, let's talk about some of the art. Apparently, they have a big collection of art. Okay.
Yeah, weird art.
What kind of art? They have old art, modern art. I'm sure they have hidden art that they don't want us to see, that's written or that's been drawn. I mean, occultically, some of the books, anciently with the occult is done with dragon's blood, bat's blood, human flesh. I mean, it's some weird stuff what they might have.
You get some really, really nasty stuff as well,
So it's wild, but let's get into it. Here's another quick video about Vatican and its art. Take a look.
The Vatican's art collection. The Vatican museums are positively stuffed full of art from all throughout history. There are the earliest works of Christian art in which Christ and the saints and so on are all depicted, all the way through to an extensive collection of modern artworks. Beginning in 1973, as an attempt to reconnect the church with contemporary culture, the Vatican began collecting modern pieces of art at the request of the then Pope Paul VI. They even commissioned contemporary art to emphasize the modern outlook of the church. One such piece was the Resurrection by Fatima. This sculpture is not only an astonishing work of art, it's also a sinister and terrifying reminder of our human fragility and the potential devastation of nuclear Armageddon. So, that's a fun one. The massive sculpture was completed in 1977, and it sits as a crazy backdrop to the Pope and his cardinals in the huge audience hall in Rome. This is the large space that the Pope can use to address the people if the weather's too inclement to stand in the traditional outside area. So, this mad sculpture was created by an artist named Fatima, and it depicts Jesus rising from a nuclear blast zone in the Garden of Gethsemane, because of course it does.
The Garden of Gethsemane, there was a nuclear explosion, and Jesus was rising from the ashes. Well, let's take a good look at this picture here, and let's see if that's what it says or what it looks like. To me, it doesn't kind of look like that.
No, I don't think it looks like that at all. And I think it, it's, we don't have it here, but when you broaden your view further, that whole area within the Vatican looks like a serpent's head. And so
Yes.
it's kind of like at the back of the throat, all of a sudden you have what it looks like to me is catacombs or purgatory, dead people. And you have a man kind of going down into that. But, is it representative more of the Antichrist rising than of actually Christ rising? It looks like being welcomed into death,
It almost, if you look at it carefully, Jess, it almost looks like, he's escaping from demons, something demonic. They look like even when I was closing in on it, it just looked like they was holding on to him. You see at the bottom where his legs are?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it's some type of evil, like what they're saying, that he's escaping from some apocalyptic nuclear weapon. It definitely looks like there's demonic demons surrounding him, holding him, touching him, and he's trying to escape from them. That's what it looks like to me. Again, I could be wrong. I'm not into art. I don't understand it, so I could be incorrect.
I mean, you get other imagery though, hidden imagery, like, the whole piece almost representing like a half sunshine, which that's an image that they use so often, particularly in the different Pentacles of Solomon. You have that image, you see it being put into their buildings as a seal. Does it represent more a seal or power or authority that they have? You also have the image of the man, that sunshine then, or representing, I guess what they would use for their basic imagery for the tree of life or the ascended masters. So you can get different hidden imagery in that as well.
Yeah. Here's the building. Take a look.
Yeah.
That looks like a serpent. Again, I could be looking at it incorrectly. I apologize. But I see two eyes. I see some teeth, right? It looks like the head of a snake.
And then it would look like a plague coming out of the serpent's mouth,
A plague coming out of the serpent's mouth. The serpent, of course, associated with Satan. He's a snake. Of course, they say it was a snake that tempted Adam and Eve. Then you got this picture coming out of the snake's mouth. There it is. And that's the hall that the Pope conducts certain speeches from this. I don't know about you, Jess, but if I was talking about goodness and kindness and love and affection, forgiveness, morality, uplifting the human spirit and taking us to a new place and trying to help people, do you think this is what I'd want to speak on a pulpit about? What this is my background? What are your thoughts?
I think the main problem even in that is, what does that imagery depict? It depicts, the death of Christ, and Christ supposedly descending into hell, which we know he's not a dead savior. Our God is alive, he's risen. So why would you depict his death and keep him in that place of death, rather than showing the power of his resurrection, that he is alive, that he sits on the throne, that he is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords? They don't depict that.
Correct. You'd want to depict, I'm just assuming, him glorified with a beautiful robe, angels surrounding him, maybe angels
Right?
like military standing up, giving people hope. Look, if I choose the Lord, if I choose Jesus, look at the angels with them, protecting, watching over us, giving hope. It's almost the opposite. It's fear.
Yeah, fear and uncertainty. Where's the power of Christ displayed in that? But maybe
There,
that's it. Maybe
there,
that they don't want to display Jesus as the risen Messiah. They don't want us to know, that power of the resurrection, that we've died with Christ and been raised into that new life if we believe in him. All of that goes back to their control, and maybe even more, maybe
yeah.
even, behind the scenes, the ushering in of a false Messiah, a false Christ.
There's so many things behind the Vatican. There's a lot of secrets, a lot of things that people know publicly. Some people watching might know, others may not. We figured, let's talk about it, Jess, and you're the perfect person that to come on and give your opinion on these type of things, because you preach this. This is what you do. That's your job. You talk about your experiences, what you witnessed, what you've seen, how to bring people to Christ, how to help people. So you look at this in a positive light. The Lord is positive, but it just seems that the Vatican poses him in a negative light, almost.
Yeah.
And it shocks me. What else? What other secrets does the Vatican have? Did you know that the Vatican Bank was involved in some very shady dealings? Did you know that, Jesse? I'm going to play a video.
It doesn't surprise me, George. I did know about some of that, but
all right, I'm going to play
let
a
us
video.
know what's going on here.
And I want to get your comments and see if people were aware. But let's see how the Vatican is associated with some shady financial practices. Here it is.
The Vatican's financial affairs. Can you believe that the financial arm of the Catholic Church, the Vatican Bank, or the Institute for the Works of Religion has been involved in a whole heap of scandal? I cannot believe that any religious organizations are ever in any way shady about money. But anyways, they've been involved in multiple scandals, and some of these even add Nazis into the mix. Just to make sure it's really, really messed up. The Vatican Bank has been accused of money laundering. I mean, they have not been exactly discerning about what sort of money goes through their hands. So giving dirty money a little wash doesn't seem all that far-fetched. Every year that Hitler was in power, the Vatican Bank would receive church tax from the Nazis. So laundering money from criminal enterprises, accepting cash from fascists, cleaning up distinctly dirty dealings, it's just all in a day's work for this bank.
I
Taking
think it's
money
so
from the
plausible.
German Nazis. I mean, that's crazy. Thoughts on that,
Yeah.
Jess?
Yeah, I think, when you look at the structure of the system, how it works and operates, and we know that, the Jesuit Catholic Church, which is going to include your Vatican, your Holy See, they're very interconnected at both the quadrant level as well as regionally, funneling assets through the system, not just finances, but is it possible that you have a lot of the other connections within communities? Your drug running, your, we'll say the movement of children, maybe even more nefarious things, the gambling, the, prostitution. What do they all have, that they're funneling through? But maybe even more. I've brought out things about not just financial money, but is there even a connection with all the Catholic churches and their incinerators and diamonds? Were they moving mass amounts of money? And You have to ask. It's curious that, we heard that this past year that the Vatican kind of lost all their money, that they went bankrupt. They put out letters to all the parishes requesting the parishes to send them all their assets. So some of that we have to ask questions like why, where did all the money go? Where did all the diamonds go?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think my favorite comment so far is total mockery. It's a total mockery, Jessica. I mean, it is a mockery. They claim to be so great, but the visuals and what they do, I mean, I don't know. I'm going about what's public knowledge, and it doesn't look good. There's so much at the Vatican. You'd think, it's great, but listen, they've got money invested everywhere. Hey, did you know that the Vatican has advanced technology, a telescope? I mean, they have a telescope, Jesse. They're scientists too. Here's a quick video. I'm going to play it really quick just to give you a little tidbit on the Vatican Observatory and who runs it. This is key. Take a look.
Here in Italy, he's also part of the Vatican's observatory team, where a small group of Jesuits do research on astronomy. Everything from nearby stars to meteorites, the galaxies, and theoretical cosmology. But since the staff at the Vatican's observatory is small, they mostly work with external researchers, most of whom are non-believers.
Huh. Did you hear Jesuits?
Right.
A select few Jesuits control it. That's interesting. And
that's key, as you said.
Yeah, it's very key. That's why I said it's key. Marissa says, I'm judging them by their fruit. Rotten. Well, it gets worse. Out of all names, Jesse, out of every name you could come up with, you are the Holy Church. You represent Christ. You represent all that's good and holy and spiritual. And we need to come together as a group of cardinals, the Pope, priest, religious scholars, masters with the ultimate degree of different languages. We need to come up with a name for this telescope. And when I share you the name of this telescope, you're not going to believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to believe it. The name of the telescope is Lucifer.
So crazy. You got to think, why would they even give it that name? And what type of research are they doing with astrology?
Lucifer, Jesse. Here's a quick video on it. Take a look. Interesting stuff.
There it is, Lucifer. It's an acronym. It's the Large Binocular Telescope Near-Infrared Utility with Camera and Integral Field Unit for Extragalactic Research. That's the acronym. Acronym is Lucifer. Got it? It was the Vatican that spearheaded this location of all places with the University of Arizona, and they run it jointly, but mostly it's the Vatican. Okay, so
why would the Vatican approve of a telescope that they partly own being called that? That's mysterious to me.
Isn't it mysterious?
The Vatican owns a telescope named Lucifer. Talk to me, Jesse. What are your thoughts? How did they come up with this idea?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they came up with it, but it takes I think it takes a lot of effort to come up with that many scientific terms that are going to get you that acronym in the end. But
I mean, I'm still in awe, folks. Listen, we've covered the scandal with alien cover-up of paperwork and documentation, if that may be. We have a library underground with all kinds of books that's not shared with everybody. We have crazy art. We have financial dealings. We have police arrest records from different priests. I mean, we have a telescope by the name of Lucifer. We have a hall that's resemblant to a serpent. We have art that resembles the destruction or demons devouring Christ. I mean, what else? Is there more, Jesse?
There's more, George?
There can't be.
We're going to have to do a second and a third show maybe after this.
Folks, the Vatican is an interesting place. Let's take a couple of quick canters at what it looks like. It's beautiful, isn't it? Look at that. It's nice.
You have to give them, the structure of their building is absolutely beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful? Wait a minute. What is that in the middle? Jesse? Let me.
I think it looks like
What
an
is that?
obelisk. A
An
Masonic
obelisk.
obelisk.
Wait a minute. Aren't obelisks from Egypt?
Yeah, yeah,
Aren't
they can be there
obelisks
from there
originally
too.
from Egypt, filled with power, representing ancient gods and other foul things I'd rather not say? Why is an obelisk in the middle of the square at the Vatican? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share something with you that I learned, and I didn't believe it. And I was going to break it down, but I found a guy who did a tremendous job on it. The truth is, it just looks like that the Vatican is a sundial, and they actually worship the sun. That is a dial. And I'm going to play a quick video of this guy who breaks it down really, really well. And then I want to get your feedback on it. Turn up your volume. This is a few minutes long, guys, but really listen to what this gentleman says. He does a really good job. And then I want to get your opinion on it. Are we digging deep? Are we wearing tinfoil hats? Or is there something to this? Take a look.
Why is the Vatican the largest sundial in the world? And also, another question is, why is there an Egyptian obelisk in the center of that sundial? So, that question is interesting. There is said to be 22 Egyptian obelisks outside of Egypt, and 13 of them are in Italy. One of them is in Rome, right in the center of the Vatican, St. Peter's Cathedral. And St. Peter's Cathedral looks something like this from the sky. Looks a bit like a big key. But anyway, right in the middle here is an obelisk. And this is due east. So it's definitely aligned with the solar year. So when they built this structure, of course they knew this, and you have to ask yourself why. Why is Christianity and the foundation of Catholicism and Christianity, Rome, tracking the sun and the stars? So this is the obelisk here, and this is St. Peter's Cathedral from the sky. And you'll see these markings on the ground that go like this. And there's actually another mark right here. It goes right through the middle. And what these are doing is they're tracking the cardinal points of the year, the 4 sacred days, which would be over here where this arrow points would be, I believe, Easter. So it would be March 21st. March here. And this is actually a representation of the cross of Constantine, which is also called the key row. So it looks like this. The cross of Constantine is this P and this X. So it looks like this. And you'll see it in all kinds of Roman movies. It's on the shields in Gladiator and in Ben-Hur and all these other movies. But a lot of Christians, actually a lot of Jews, Christians, Muslims, a lot of people around the world don't realize that the Vatican is tracking the sun. So why are they tracking the sun? And also they're worshiping the sun. But that's a whole other story. So what does this key row right here represent? What is this symbol? Where did it come from? Well, I'm going to tell you. It actually goes back to Egypt. And a lot of Christians don't realize, and even Jews don't realize, that their religion begins in Egypt. And this is why there is the largest Egyptian obelisk in the world, right here, in the center of Rome. This goes back to Abraham. It's Abrahamic thought, or Abrahamic philosophy, or Abrahamic religion, which was Egypt. So, the cross of Constantine, or the key row, is not a P. This is actually not a P. This is actually a representation of the sun at a certain point in the year, and it is said to, move around the zodiac. So you have to imagine it moving in a circle all the way around, the zodiac like this. So this thing that looks like a P is actually the representation of the sun. So the entire St. Peter's Cathedral is mapping and tracking the solar year. I want you to ask yourself why. Why is the Vatican the largest sundial in the world? Bam. So I'm going to read a little bit to you of interesting stuff about the zodiac. So, you guys may have never heard of a Fucus, but a Fucus is a constellation, and it's actually mentioned in the Bible. I don't have the verse in front of me, so I can't tell you exactly what verse it's mentioned in at this time. But a Fucus is the 13th sign in the zodiac, the one that is missing, so to speak. And it's missing because the solar year is based on the number 12. 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 hours in a day, and 12 hours in a night, so that's 24. So in order for this to work, they use the number 12. There's 12 apostles, which are just the posts of the zodiac. There's 12 systems in the body. There's 12 is a magic and sacred number in numerology, astrology, and religion. So back to a Fucus. A Fucus is the 13th sign of the zodiac, and the Romans and Greeks put it into their stories and their myths. A Fucus stands on the head of Sagittarius, and the Bible talks about bruising the heel of a Fucus and bruising the head of Sagittarius. And these two symbols actually, when you see them together, one standing on the other, a Fucus standing on Sagittarius, they actually point to the center of our galaxy, the dead center of our galaxy. So you have to ask yourself, why are they tracking the sun? Well, the reason why is because they're actually tracking not only the center of our galaxy, but more importantly, they have a lot in their art and their symbology. They are tracking Orion, the Orion Nebula.
Very well done.
Very well done.
Excellent job.
Excellent job. So he explains how it's a sundial, that the P is actually the sun. You've seen it all over things. This is what he was talking about, which is the 13th constellation. And let me read to you what it means. Ophiuchus, or how you pronounce it, meaning serpent bearer. In Greek, it's a large constellation located near the celestial equator, often depicted as a man holding a serpent. And it's also considered the 13th zodiac constellation. A man holding a serpent, the serpent bearer. That's, Jesse, what it's looking at, following along, again with the serpent. Right. Unbelievable. And this obelisk, I mean, I was reading up on it. The Vatican obelisk is a red granite Egyptian obelisk. It stands in the center of St. Peter's Square, originally brought from Alexandria by Caligula and later moved to this current location by the Pope. It's from Egypt. So we have sundials, we have Egyptian obelisks, we have snakes, we have Lucifer, we have devils and demons, we have I mean, there's so much that we covered. I don't even know where to begin with all that. Let's start, Jesse. What is your analysis on the video we just shared?
Yeah, so interesting. You know, all of those symbols, all of that imagery even goes deeper. When you look at, you know, who or what is the serpent bearer, what can that mean? And you start to bring in not just one zodiac, but, you know, there's different zodiacs. You have, you know, the Chinese zodiac, even ancient zodiacs, like your Egyptian zodiac and your Mayan, Incan zodiacs. Then you have the 3 pillars in the Cairo symbol, which go back to, you know, their Solomonic magic and the harnessing of the 72 keys of Solomon. So do they have all that imagery? Are they, the holders of the keys. And does that connect even to, St. Peter's Basilica, the one who is given the authority or the powers or the keys? Is that what they're displaying to the world? Is, that as we look at the physical, spiritual worlds, end time events, are they the ones that are holding those keys of power?
Yeah, it just seems to me that there's a lot of secrets in plain view that they're hiding from all of us. The Vatican has secrets, and I believe the time will come when things will be disclosed, when the veil will be lifted, when a lot of information is going to be shared with all of us. I just don't understand what's all the secrecy. All I could say is, from seeing all of this, there is a dark, nefarious, evil side to the Vatican. And you don't have to be religious or a believer to see that. I mean, just from this one video alone, there's so much more we could tap into. But do you believe that there's a lot of secrets that are dark and that should be exposed and that other people should know about what's happening at the Vatican, Jessie?
I would even put it beyond dark. I think, the sad part is I think that there is an evil that is there, and that, they keep or hold evil secrets.
Yeah, I agree. It's a sad, sad thing. And you have to be careful who you believe in the media. Very important. I know a lot of people are asking in the chat, hey, where's the link? We'd love to see the rest of that video. Sure, I'll put it in the description right here in the chat so you can all see it and you can all take a look at it and look at his channel. Interesting guy, did a great job. I'll share with everybody in just a moment. But guys, we're doing an after show after this. Feel free to join us and be a part of the discussion, ask some questions. It's on my Patreon. The link is in the description. The after show coming up next, a special Q&A, give you a chance to ask some questions. Just while I grab this video for everybody, share with everybody how people can follow you and support your mission.
Yeah, you can follow and support me on kingdomlivingwithjessie.com. On there, you'll find my courses, my books. You'll find the coaching sessions that I do where I talk about the signs, the symbols of the system. And you'll find my new series, Unveiling of the System, on that website. So I encourage you to check it out.
Unveiling the system. What's the system, Jessie? What do you got? What kind of system?
The system defined as the Brotherhood and the Sovereign Military Order.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right, guys. I know you're all looking for the that video, so I'm going to post the in the link here. So if you look in the chat, there's the link to the video of this gentleman who did a fantastic job. His name is Ryan McMahon. Once again, the gentleman's name is Ryan McMahon. The link of the video I just put in the chat. Take a look if you want to see more of his stuff. Very interesting. And guys, I got to say, if you appreciate the show and you enjoyed it and you like it, you like the information that we put out there every single Monday, show some love and support. Go to paypal.me/George Iceman. I'll put the link in the description, everybody, so you could show some love and support. And Jessie, somebody else came on board to show some love. Carmen S. Carmen S. Thank you so much for the support and love on Patreon. Thank you, Carmen S. Thank you, Lisa M. And if anybody else could support and show some love, again, please go to paypal.me/George Iceman. There's the link in the description. I want to thank you guys for joining us. We hope you join us in the after show. And don't forget, next week, it's going to be another great show with the Pastor Dave. So we look forward to seeing everybody. Jesse, anything you want to say before we sign off?
Join us in the after show. We'll see you all there.
God bless everyone. Good night.